Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Dailey, and I want to thank you for watching this second video. I also want to remind you of my core belief, which is the fact that you have purpose. And although you haven't felt good for a very long time, there really is hope. The people you love and the people in your world need you. As I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm a doctor of chiropractic that specializes in chronic conditions like fibromyalgia. I have advanced education in functional endocrinology, functional blood chemistry, the brain and neurotransmitters, mastering the thyroid protocols, as well as graduating from Functional Medicine University. I have worked with fibromyalgia patients with great success for almost a decade, and for this work I was featured in the American Wellness News and Report magazine, as well as interviewed on American Wellness Radio. My grandfather was chief of staff at Mount Sinai Hospital in Miami, Florida, and my sister is a pediatrician. Now, I don't say any of that to brag. I simply want you to understand my background and how it applies to you. Up to this point, I've been laying a foundation, and by now, I hope you are starting to see why you're still sick, why the standard medical approach has let you down for so long. Now, allow me to put the finishing touches for you to understand fully what functional medicine is, and then I'll move on to what we have found to be consistently true with fibromyalgia patients. Now, to battle chronic health conditions, functional medicine uses two scientifically grounded principles. Number one is add what's lacking in the body to nudge its physiology back to a state of optimal functioning. Number two is to remove anything that impedes the body from moving towards this optimal state of physiology. Plainly put, your body naturally wants to be healthy, but things needed by the body to function at its very best might be missing, or something might be standing in the way of its best function. Functional medicine first identifies the factors responsible for the malfunction. Then it deals with those factors in a way appropriate to the patient's specific and particular situation. Now, you may be surprised to learn that functional medicine isn't new. It's actually the return to the roots of modern scientific medicine. This is captured in a statement by Sir William Osler, one of the first professors at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, and later its physician-in-chief. He says, and I quote, "The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease." Now, that may be more than you wanted to know about functional medicine in my journey, but it's important for you to understand that this quest of mine didn't happen overnight. It really has been a process. My hope is that this long process of mine can be a turning point in your life, with the end result of you getting better, reaching your destiny, and fulfilling your purpose. And again, this takes me back to my core belief that you have significance in this world, that you have a vital contribution to make in the lives of the people that surround you. All right, so now as I pursued this certification in functional medicine and nutrition, my circle of influence changed, and I started spending more time with colleagues and associates that thought differently from the traditional chiropractor or medical doctor. And that's where my big breakthrough came in. I now had the ability and the knowledge to order tests that had never been performed by me on these patients, or probably anyone else, even their medical doctors. So I started analyzing their blood, their stool, their saliva, their urine, in ways that had never been tested before. The findings were consistent in large part from patient to patient. In other words, I had seen a lot of the same findings in patients that had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. These things involved adrenal fatigue, hypothyroid function, and especially gastrointestinal involvement. The gastrointestinal involvement included, but wasn't limited to, bacterial dysbiosis, parasitic infestation, pathogenic bacteria, opportunistic bacteria, leaky gut syndrome, and a variety of other disorders, which I'll explain later. At that point, I developed a protocol to correct these physiological deviations from normal, which involved lifestyle changes, dietary changes, pharmaceutical grade supplements and botanicals, as well as some specific neurological interventions which could easily be done at home. The results that we got were astounding. These protocols were not just working for me, but they were working for other functional medicine practitioners throughout the country. We used similar protocols and got excellent results. Now, you don't need to take my word for the results, however. I'm going to show you some actual functional medical patients that I worked with that had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and their testimonies. Now, if you have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia for any length of time, you know that standard modern medicine and their approach is not going to work. And to be completely honest with you, modern medicine has failed you. In many ways, you are a victim of the American lifestyle and the failure of modern medicine to address chronic conditions from a preventative standpoint. We call this a healthcare system when in reality it doesn't provide health and it isn't much of a system. See, I believe that it would be more proper to call it a crisis care system because we wait until our health has been ravaged before we address it. We spend more money on healthcare in the United States than any other country in the face of the earth. So you would think that we're the healthiest nation in the world, but the truth of the matter is that we rank close to last place where healthy nations are concerned, according to the World Health Organization. Now, we consume about 80% of the world's pharmaceutical medications. So again, you might assume that we have the healthiest people in the world. It's not true. If drugs made people healthy, we would in fact be the healthiest people in the world, but we're not. My point is that you have been failed by this healthcare system, and for that I'm truly sorry. So, am I some kind of renegade? Am I a loose cannon? Well, I think not. Let me share with you a brief excerpt from Dr. Oz's website. It was written by Dr. Susan Blum. She is a board-certified preventive medicine healthcare practitioner and a chronic disease specialist. The article was added to his website 3/13/2012. If you'd like to look it up, you can read the article in its entirety. I'm going to go ahead and quote her now. Fibromyalgia is a diagnosis based on a grouping of symptoms including fatigue and muscle pain. While the pain and inflammation are very real, this conventional medical diagnosis itself doesn't help us understand what causes the problem. It's a deceptive diagnosis, which is why it took so long to believe that there really was a medical condition causing the symptoms. Of course, the conventional medical world, or as far as from their perspective, this was a good first step. Having this diagnosis has helped many people get some form of treatment, but it still doesn't help us understand the cause of the fatigue, inflammation, and pain. That's where functional medicine comes in. Functional medicine focuses on the prevention and treatment of chronic disease by finding the cause of the imbalance or symptom the person is experiencing. From the viewpoint of functional medicine, fibromyalgia is an inflammatory condition. Receiving the diagnosis was just the beginning of the investigation. While we all agree that fatigue, inflammation, and pain are real, that is simply not enough. We want to know why. Treating the person with painkillers is not the answer, as most people with fibromyalgia will tell you. From a functional medicine perspective, it's critical to look at the foundational systems that are involved in controlling inflammation in the body. The three areas we look at are digestive system, food sensitivities, and liver detoxification systems. And I end quote. So, as you can see, I'm not alone in my quest to conquer this disease, and neither are you. There is help out there and there is hope. There are several common mistakes that I see fibromyalgia patients make in trying to overcome this condition. One of those is that they keep going back to the same doctor without getting any help. I'm going to address each of these in a moment. Number 2 is they think one pill will cure their condition. Number 3 is they try to heal themselves without any help. Number 4 is they simply give up. Now, to address number 1, if you had a car problem and you took it to a mechanic that told you that he fixed it, you picked it up, you brought it home, but still had the same problem, what would you do? Well, you'd probably take it back to that mechanic and ask him politely to fix it properly. Now, if he sent you home again telling you that he fixed it, but it still had the same old problem, what would you do then? Well, see, I believe at some point you're going to find a new mechanic. Am I right? Well, if you've been going back to the same doctor without getting better, well, it's time to find a new approach. Not saying there's something wrong with your doctor, but he's not getting you better. They say the definition for insanity is what? Doing the same thing again and again, expecting different results. Now, keep in mind, with fibromyalgia, you have several deviations from physiological normal, and they're all overlapping. There's not a pill in the world that will address or heal all of that. Then, unfortunately, if you're trying to heal yourself, although it's admirable, it's almost impossible. I've seen it happen over and over again. People want to get better so bad that they're always chasing the latest fad, whether it's a new pharmaceutical medication or even a supplement. They're just not specific enough for the fibromyalgia patient. Now, as for giving up, remember, back to the core belief, you have something of great value to offer the world. You're not an accident. I believe you have a very specific purpose in this crazy world in which we live that only you can fulfill, only you can satisfy. Now, after getting consistent results with patients in my clinic for several years, I realized that there were literally millions of people suffering with fibromyalgia that I could never serve. So I developed a program and a specific protocol that could be followed step by step in an online course. And in this course, I break down the proper diet, lifestyle changes, and the specific supplements and in the specific order that they need to be taken in to achieve maximum benefit. Now, I'm going to show you step by step how to go through an effective plan. You're going to effectively look at a gastrointestinal cleanse, liver detoxification, blood sugar, and fatty acid balancing. I'm going to show you how to support your adrenals and thyroid glands and clear your foggy thinking. So I encourage you, please don't give up. Hold on and follow the protocols, which I'll share in detail in a very short period of time. You'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll start to think more clearly. On the next video, I'm going to break down each module of the course. I'm going to explain the purpose of those modules as well as the expected outcome. I'll forward you an email probably in about a few days. And please feel free, if you have a question, I'll leave an email link. I'd be happy to answer any of your brief questions. Thanks so much. God bless, and remember, you have a purpose.